I have a friend who ended up leaving Uganda. It was very sad. She ended up leaving Uganda because she felt like she couldn't trust anyone. And she ended up moving to Nigeria because there's a big American community there.
Yeah.
People that she could trust.
That's crazy. How you gonna leave Uganda and go to Nigeria?
I know.
People more trustworthy?
Listen. I know. You know what? Go ahead and don't like it.
I don't think it is foreigner friendly. I don't think it's friendly to anybody who's used to things working easily where they come from. Let me put it that way. If you come from a place where there are established systems and structures in place that make the things that she was referring to easy and efficient, then of course you're going to come here and find it difficult, right?
Hi guys, welcome to Kenganda. My name is Johnny Tamaya and this is the Repat podcast. I'll let my co-hosts introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Shoshana Kiria Ziraba. I am a wife and mom living in Mbale, Uganda.
Lovely, you're welcome. Gabs, please.
Master Gabs back for the first time in a long time, man. Actually, it's the first time for us to be together in a while. So I'm happy to be here, guys.
O'Shea Duke Jackson. Yeah, this is the first podcast, I think, like this for the year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's second. It's the second.
Second. Ooh.
Yeah. So for the people watching us for the first time who don't know who you are, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
I am originally from Los Angeles, but after university, I moved to Texas, and then was lucky enough to meet my Ugandan husband.
Ooh.
And he's the reason why I'm out here now.
Yeah.
We lived in Kampala for a year.
Yeah.
And then once our house was built, we moved out to Mbale.
Yeah.
And that was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's in the East.
Yes.
Yeah. Lovely. So we were talking behind the scenes and you said something that I found really interesting. You said Uganda is not foreigner friendly. You said you see so many African Americans come to Uganda, but they never stay. They always leave. Can you expound on that?
Yeah. So the ones who have stayed successfully and are happy, the majority of them are married to Ugandans.
Oh, Ugandan men.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're married to Ugandans. It's not easy to be out here. There's a lot of things that are not intuitive. Even something as simple as paying the light bill. When the lights go off, getting the lights to turn back on.
Yeah.
Even something like going grocery shopping, needing to have a 10-minute conversation with the tomato guy.
Yeah. The tomato guy has been on your mind, yeah?
Oh my gosh. No, and that I will never forget that first trip to the market where you have to have a separate conversation with every vendor for every fruit and vegetable that you want to buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. It took over an hour just to get the fruits and vegetables. Yeah, and then also it's not the type of country where you can just throw some money at it and get what you need done.
Hello.
You have to know a guy. You have to know a guy who knows a guy.
Yeah.
In order to get stuff done. You know, like things for the house or to get the sink fixed or, you know, car repairs, anything. You have to know a person who knows a person that you can trust and will get it done correctly. It's not the type of place where you just
it's not a direct process. Yeah.
No, you have to work within your existing relationships. And if you don't have those existing relationships to work through, I have a friend who ended up leaving Uganda. It was very sad. She ended up leaving Uganda because she felt like she couldn't trust anyone. And she ended up moving to Nigeria because there's a big American community there. Yeah. People that she could trust.
That's crazy. How you gonna leave Uganda and go to Nigeria?
I know.
More trustworthy?
Listen. I know. You know what? Go ahead and don't like it, but at the end of the day, there's a big American community of people that were on her side and rooting for her, and not trying to scam her at every single turn.
So Uganda had more scammers than Nigeria.
For her? Yeah.
Okay. I want to ask Gabs what he thinks about the statement you just made.
I
About
mean,
Uganda not being foreigner friendly.
I don't think it is foreigner friendly. I don't think it's friendly to anybody who's used to things working easily where they come from. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
If you come from a place where there are established systems and structures in place that make the things that she was referring to easy and efficient, then of course you're going to come here and find it difficult, right? Going grocery shopping, for example, you go to Sam's Club, you go to Costco, you go to Giant Food or Safeway or whatever, Kroger,
Walmart,
Walmart, whatever supermarket happens to be the one that you prefer in your neighborhood, you can buy everything under one roof and not have to go looking for various different deals and vendors and all of that stuff. So yes, I think that's it. Of course, everything is available at your fingertips online as well in this era of technology where everything is instant and available on demand. Yes. So coming here and experiencing all that is sure to give you a great deal of frustration. However, I'll flip it on the other side. And it has been my experience that the simplicity of what you have available to you here also uncomplicates your life in a lot of ways. Because when you're living in America, you have 18 different bills to pay on a monthly basis. And here, you might streamline that to like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's simpler. It's not necessarily as efficient, but it's a whole lot simpler. And once you go through the rigors of establishing a rhythm within your lifestyle in order to be able to know, yes, I need a guy for everything. I need a border guy who can go and take this there and the other place. I need a border guy who I can trust to carry my things, who won't steal from me. But then I need another border guy who can do this and that and the other thing. And then I need a market person. Then I need somebody at the video store because I'm not trying to pay $100 a month for DSTV. And then I need a person over here and I need a person over there. Once you assimilate all of that and you kind of equip your tool bag with what you need in order to be able to survive here, oh, it's lovely.
Yeah.
So I think, yes, while it is not foreigner friendly, I think there's also a measure of weakness in people that come here and think that it's going to be easier than it is. Ooh. And if you're weak, this ain't for you.
Why do you think they think it's easier than what it is?
Because again, you expect it to be like what you came from, right? And my experience in coming here, just in the context of doing business, for example, right? When I first arrived in Uganda in 2011 and I was determined to do business a certain way, I was taken aback by how difficult it was for me to get things moving because the mentality and the way that people worked was so different from what I was used to. I was expecting people to be able to assimilate to what I wanted, as opposed to realizing the smart move would be for me to learn how the system works and then learn how to work the system. And now, 13 years later, here I am winning because I figured it out. So that's what I'm saying. When people believe that it's going to be easier than it ends up being, it's because, yes, I come from the Western world and I know better. I've seen better. I have experienced better. So I can influence it to be better. But people overestimate their ability to influence things. And what you really need to do is influence your own mindset to understand that I'm here in this world. I'm playing by a different set of rules. I'm in a different environment. I'm in a different universe. You've gone from Venus to Mars. The atmosphere is different. The environment is different. Plant life grows here differently than it grows over there. So it's an entirely different planet, so to speak.
Okay.
So you have to adjust your expectation of how you're going to live based upon the rules of what's available to you on the ground. And I think the people who do that are the people who survive and thrive and then succeed and excel.
But let me ask you this. She said that her friend went to
Nigeria.
And Nigeria had a community already assembled, which is shocking to me. I mean, Afro Think Tank said a lot of African Americans going to Nigeria. But these are African Americans or Nigerian Americans?
You know what? I don't know. I didn't get into that much with her about her life in Nigeria. I just know that she had a community there of people that had her back.
Okay. Was she African American or was she a Nigerian American?
No, African American.
Okay.
And so one of the great things about coming out here, through my husband, was that I had probably the easiest immigrant experience that anyone is ever gonna have. Husband had a furnished house in a gated community with a nanny. Like,
Oh, so you stepping into
that was
the real soft life, huh? You stepping
So
into
let me ask you something. Like, how did?
get?
Let me ask you. Let me cut you off. Actually, I wanted to cut you off, but let me ask you this, right? Because you're African American marrying a well-to-do Ugandan man, which is typically it's the opposite. Most African guys or men like that are almost gone right away. So he's doing well. He's an engineer. How do people perceive that you're a lady that's an outsider and you're taking one of the few, or there are probably many guys like that here, but they probably don't want to be publicized. But how do you feel? How do they feel about you taking one of their eligible men away from them?
I don't know. They might feel some kind of way. I know that my husband is a desirable man.
Well,
so there's a difference between dating and then a real partnership.
okay.
And so when it comes to me and my husband, both of us were looking for someone who was part of our faith community.
Okay.
As I said before, we're Jewish. And so that was really special to us. It's definitely frowned upon in our faith community to marry outside.
Okay.
And so I was looking for someone who shared that. And so was he. And so he's the one that started chatting me up on Facebook, and that's how we got connected.
Presby, we were behind the scenes talking, and then you said some of the locals were saying, "Oh, she came here and she took our man."
Yeah, so that's like the subtext.
Okay.
It's not, they're not out and out with it, but
Do you feel it? Do you feel that energy sometimes?
Yes, definitely.
How do you feel it? Give me an example of how you feel it.
There's a lot of
Story time music.
A lot of communication is unspoken. Okay, it doesn't,
Such as
it's like a little side eye, a little
okay,
Yeah.
right,
little teeth kissing.
right.
Oh, word.
Oh my god.
How do you deal with that?
At the end of the day, I'm the one that got the guy.
Ooh. They're gonna be waiting on you when you get back to Mbale.
I'm the one that's sitting in
You're
the house.
safe here now in Kampala, but when you get back home,
I'm the one that got the guy, the one that's in the house.
Yeah.
yeah.
Go hate if you want to.
Yeah. What did you tell me earlier? The lion doesn't worry about what?
Yes. There's an old Ugandan saying: the lion doesn't turn around because the rooster crows.
Yeah.
Let the rooster crow. Keep walking, lion.
Okay. Miss Lioness.
So let me ask you, because you also talking about, and I've been getting a lot of criticism on some of my individual videos for telling African Americans. I didn't know you were married when you were there.
Yeah.
I felt like when she told me about it, she was like, there's a lady there from the community for sure. She's out there in Mbale doing something. I'm like, I hope she isn't by herself. Then I was so happy to hear that you're a married lady. Mm-hmm. And you were talking to Jonita about this before, like, it's so hard if you're not a married lady living in Africa. And I said the same thing. Mm. That video got not that many views, but like the women from the African American community, man, they were killing me in the comments. Like, you're a misogynist, you hate black women. What do you mean you can't come to Africa and not be by yourself? I was trying to tell, like, yo, like, you really need to be with a man on the continent, especially in Uganda. It really helps you a lot.
Yeah, it does. It does really help. There's other things that can help, but one of the reasons why being married to an African has helped me so much is because he's already a well-connected person. Mm-hmm. He already has a social network. Mm-hmm. He already had especially through a religious community, he was able to introduce me to other women to be friends with. Mm-hmm. He knew the lay of the land, and so I didn't have to figure everything out from the beginning. I didn't have to figure out how to pay the light bill. I didn't have to figure out, where to go for this, that, or the third. it's just so much easier, so much easier. And Uganda, as it is, for someone coming from a big city in America, Uganda, as it is, already has some challenges. And so just to have some of those things figured out is really, really helpful.
Because I don't know if you've heard of what's going on in Gambia. And this is not too...
Yeah, with the women gone missing.
Yeah, there's been like 6 or 7 women from the Western world either dying mysteriously. One got hit with a sledgehammer. All these women are single. So, not to point out that this is like Gambia is a bad place, because I mean, obviously, we got our Detroits and St. Louis's of the world, right? Yeah. So, but people feel like, it is hard for me. You mentioned something that was very important. You can have a lot of money. I said the same thing on Zach McClase's podcast. You can have a lot of money in Uganda and can't get anything done. Yeah. So imagine you have being a lady. It doesn't really matter how much money it is that you have. How hard is it, do you feel like, if you didn't have your husband here? You're coming here, some of them as single moms.
It would be a mess. It would be a mess. It would be very difficult. It would be very difficult. Like even just something like home repairs, we need something done on the roof. Okay, well, does the roof repair guy even speak English? Like, how about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many things that my husband helps me do that it's like, it's not the only way to get things done. It's through a partner, but he helps me so much. He helps me so much. Now, what can happen is he teaches me, like the first time he does it, he teaches me how to do it, and then the second and third time I can.
So he teaches, guides you.
Yeah, but it's if you don't have somebody that's seriously in your corner,
right?
It's very hard to live out here. You have to have somebody in your corner.
Yeah. Speaking of African American women and eating your shit up in the comments, you said something about you watch some episodes where Oshay saying about African American women, and it comes up as if they're cold hearted. But you said there's a reason they are the way they are.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I think that I not to criticize my host, but I think that you have been somewhat unfair.
Yes.
In your assessment.
Okay. This is right. Go ahead. Please.
Of the gender dynamics.
Sure.
Okay. So when you're in an environment that is against the family, I would say there are aspects of American culture that are against the family. Okay. And so when you have a culture that doesn't support having a traditional family, then if you're a person who wants to have one, then it's like you're swimming upstream. Whereas here in Uganda, it's the default to have a traditional family, where it's normal. It's much easier for someone who wants to have a traditional family.
Let me ask you that. It's a great point. When you were living back in the States and you wanted to interact with men, did you feel like they were unserious, or how did you feel like it was going through the process of going towards marriage?
So I had a season in my life where I was also unserious.
Okay.
But then once I finally did,
I'm still unserious now. I'm like 80 years old.
Okay, so. It's okay. But then when I was serious and seeking a partner, it was but also for me it was different too, because I was looking for someone specific who was Black and Jewish, which in America there was 5 guys that I could date.
Yeah.
I find it amazing that not only did you find a Black Jewish man, but a Ugandan.
Jew. Sure.
Can you explain to me how your husband's religion was established? Was he born into a family that was Jewish?
Yes.
I've literally never ever met.
Well, let me just ask you this. Because is your friend that went to Nigeria, she also Jewish? There's a lot of Igbo Jewish peas in Nigeria, right?
No.
It's a big community.
There's a Jewish community in
huge.
Nigeria.
Is there substantial Jewish community here in Uganda?
Yeah, in Mbale, in the area around Mbale.
Oh.
Yeah, there's about 6,000 Jews.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's new.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned something really, really like
Yeah.
unexpected right now.
Yeah.
I never knew that was the case.
Yes.
Yeah. But just to
that's
continue
awesome.
answering O'Shea's question, you had a
Yes.
few guys to date and
Yeah. Okay.
Get to
So
the T.
right.
so the level of sincerity and focus,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, okay, to use a metaphor, it's like a new relationship when you're really intentional about seeking partnership. It's like a rocket ship where you have to put a lot of energy and a lot of focus and really give the relationship a chance for it to get to that marriage stage.
Right.
Okay? It takes a lot. And so if a guy is looking at 3 different girls or you're looking at 3 different men, it's not gonna get to that marriage.
Yes.
You're not gonna reach escape velocity.
Right.
Here, I feel like the culture is more geared towards being intentional and being focused
Yes.
and being serious about marriage. Where marriage is an expectation
Yeah.
and also supported by the culture. I feel.
So you feel like I'm unfair in my criticisms
the people, there's people who
on the Kingana channel or my other channels?
I would say on your other channel, but I would say that there's people who would be interested in making a traditional family, but they feel like it's not available to them. There's people who want to, but it feels like it's an uphill battle.
In our criticisms, my criticism at least, I feel like you might feel somewhat similar to me.
Yep.
She's saying that a lot of women would want to be in serious relationships, being in an environment like this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
American ladies. I kind of disagree because when I meet you, you're very jovial, very happy. Not that so many other ladies. I feel like you enjoy, although you're educated and obviously very intelligent, you enjoy your path of I'm a mother, my husband is doing this. That partly might come from your religion. I don't know if my sister's from the African American National Baptist Church of God in Christ. I don't really see that coming from me. But I don't know, I could be wrong. But maybe, American women in general, do you feel like what she's saying is correct? That if they had an environment such as this, they would be okay being the kind of wife that she may be?
I'll refer to my personal experiences only.
Hello.
Okay. I've never had a relationship with an African American woman.
What about an American woman in general?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
All the time you were there.
What? Fix your face.
What about anybody else from the? What about anybody like black anything, African anything?
Yes, absolutely. I've dated women from other countries in Africa, from other nationalities in Africa, but to have I'm talking about like a serious relationship, like where we're boyfriend and girlfriend. I mean, there's jump offs all over the place. You know?
Yeah. Okay.
You can have fun as much as you want, but when it comes down to understanding the principles and the values that define what a person is looking for, I never connected with somebody from the community in that way.
That understood what a man's role was.
Yes.
To the level.
And primarily I was biased because I'm the youngest of 3 brothers.
Yeah.
And I saw what my brothers went through in dealing with their girlfriends. And
Yeah.
my oldest brother, God rest his soul, he has a couple of sons by some very spicy African-American women. And the experiences that he had with them let me know I wasn't trying to go through all of that. The baby mama drama, the fractured home life situations that they came from, like I saw that as a representation of everything that I didn't want to involve myself with. And I recognized that.
Although you saw, when you grew up, you saw families that were not like that.
Yes, no, like my best friend was, a guy who came from a very well-established
Jack and Jill, things like
two-parent
that.
household, Jack and Jill of America, all of that stuff, you know what I mean? So I saw the balance of both sides, but I don't refer to people who are 30 years older than me when I'm trying to understand what it is that I'm doing in my pursuit of relationships.
Okay.
Because my brothers and them were like my contemporaries, and I was looking at them in real time and trying to figure out what to avoid and what to dodge. I believe that there as you've said, Shoshana, rightly, there's an element of a culture where the family unit isn't necessarily as valued as it is over here. And ultimately, that's what I valued.
Right.
Because I came from a 2-parent household, and my parents were a very highly functioning couple, and they raised us in a very fantastically positive way. And so that's ultimately what I was aspiring to. So anything that showed me signs of the opposite of that,
yes,
I ran away from.
So let me say this. This her mother went to USC.
Yeah.
The PhD, a chemistry professor at Santa Monica College. Your parents still married, right?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No,
but they were married when you were coming up.
Yes.
Okay. That makes a difference in how a person like her sees the world. When like a lot of people in our community don't come from that situation. I've even had experiences of dating ladies. Not to say that everybody from the Black community is coming from a single parent home, but it's even happening here in Africa. Where if you date a lady that doesn't have a father, you want your worst experience in life, do that anywhere in the world. If you want to be, listen to what I'm saying, you want to be miserable, in my honest opinion, as a man, you want to be very frustrated, want to go through a long learning curve, I think. And it's not take a shot at anybody else, but ladies that come from a father with no man there, if you want to be frustrated, that's your best path to go. It's going to be that. And I'm saying that because a lot of ladies that have not seen a father understand what the father's role is to be, it's very difficult for them to get it. And it's not to hate on anybody. Let's just say anybody around the world, period. You're going to be frustrated, and it's a big learning curve. And if you're a guy, like your husband, or a guy that's a high earner, you know what you have the ability to do? To not deal with that bullshit. Instantly get out. Like, that's what you're going to see at a certain point. Like, we've talked about it. You're not getting it. So if you can't get it, I think you're crazy. So I really need to get rid of you because you have a mental, I will feel like you have a mental disability at a certain point. It couldn't be true, but that's how I got to justify it to myself. Like, you don't get it. Why don't you get it? The only way I can explain it is you have a problem that can't be explained by medical science. Get out. That's and so what I'm saying is a lot of ladies, if they were to come here, anywhere in the world, I won't even classify just my community. But if you haven't seen a family like that growing up, and you come to a place like this where families are not perfect, but if you go to the mall on Sunday, Acacia Mall, it's much different than the mall in America. You see families buying ice cream, hanging out, people talking to each other. You don't come from that environment. You can't just plug into it.
Right.
What is a man supposed to do? And what are you supposed to do? They've never seen it. Women here will have that problem. In America, I just think that it would be very difficult. And what will end up happening is, it stops. You might get along in the bedroom pretty good. That might be it. It's going to be controversial. I know somebody's going to clip this, but it's the truth.
Well, okay, I do have something to say about this. And I think there's so many things. Even me coming here, we have to use our imagination about what it could be.
Okay.
Nobody showed me how to move to Africa.
Yeah.
But I had to use my imagination about how it could be.
Sure.
And I think we do that in a lot in life. People who are the first in their family to go to college, or the first in their family to start a business, or the first in their family to do all kinds of things. We have to use our imagination. A lot of us are doing that in our careers, but we also need to take that enterprising spirit into our family life too.
I don't disagree with you at all. And how long have you been in Uganda?
So like living full time since February 2021.
Okay, you're so happy about that. So I've been here coming since 2017. And I would say anywhere in the Black world, it's just a lot of work. I hate to say this, but there's so many eligible ladies in Africa. And I think that, a lot of these men that are who the women want, man, it's just going to be a hard time convincing a guy who's doing very well here. Like, for your situation, as an American woman, you have probably no previous children, right? No previous children, educated, nice, very pleasant, intelligent. You have to have all of these things to beat somebody here. Because why would he marry you over somebody here, right? I mean, you would have to beat every category for this guy, for him to say, let me go out of what I know to get married to you. That's how it happens when you're a foreigner. When you're a foreigner, you have to beat everybody there to be considered.
Well, yes, but also my husband also had to beat everybody.
Exactly. No, exactly. Exactly, right?
Listen.
But how many times? Well, the things that one of my newest quotes: partnerships are never really equal. Right now, the NFL is going through free agency, okay, and we're estimating on what could be for these next teams. Mm-hmm. I think what's this quarterback that was on the Vikings?
Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins is going to the Falcons. Okay. So Kirk Cousins was with the Redskins before. He's a good quarterback. They paid a lot of money for a guy coming off of ACL. They could have got Justin Fields, said no. So we're saying that, okay, well, with this guy, the tight end, and they just signed a new receiver, they're automatically going to be a playoff team in the NFC South. But we don't know until they play. We don't know, right? So at the end of, I remember when Russell Wilson went to the Broncos. This guy is going to, get us to the next level. Didn't happen.
Right.
It's going to go down as the biggest bust trade in NFL history, right?
Yep.
Partnerships are never equal. And that's something that we got to understand. In your case, it's an anomaly. But normally, somebody wins big and somebody loses. And you want to know who loses the most? A rich guy. That's who loses the most. You know what I mean? Like a guy who's competent can't sit back and say, you see this lady over here? What could be? When you wouldn't even be in a conversation with her if you were not what could be. You have to be right now. For you to move from California to come here, that man has to be what he is. And there's no doubt about it. He has to be to a certain level. Whatever else you want to upgrade, you can do that but he has to be certain level. Well, ladies, it's like, well, she could be this. The man's taking a big risk. And I'm telling you, most guys who've worked 30 years of their life to get to where they're at, I'm 42. I started on this path when I was like 17. It's 25 years to make it. There is no way I'm going to be like, well, what could be? You don't have what it takes. Like maybe in a position in the business, you can do that. With your wife, you can't do that. I'm learning that. I learned the hard way. That lady has to come from what she has seen to deal with me. If she doesn't have it, it's a no-go. You don't have time. Life is short.
Let me offer you guys a different perspective.
What could be?
Let me offer you guys a different perspective about this because I think this is very interesting. Mm-hmm. And the minute that you said you live in Mbale, right?
Yes.
Mbale, for those who are unfamiliar with the geography of Uganda, is in eastern Uganda, right? Mm-hmm. It's about 5-6 hours outside of Kampala, right? Nobody would accuse Mbale of being a metropolitan region.
Never.
No.
Right? So what I'm getting from you, Shoshana, is that not only have you had the open mind to, okay, first of all, the religious background alone.
I see where you're going with this.
Right? The religious background alone and the fact that you were very intentional about aligning yourself to have a spouse who has the same belief system as you.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. I think that's a very important one. But then I think the critical piece that I find very interesting and which makes me want to learn a lot more about you is that you met your husband, you fell in love, you married in the United States. I'm presuming that by the time you guys got married, how long have you been married now? Sorry.
We'll be 5 years in
okay, cool.
A couple months.
So you moved back to Uganda, let's say 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. So you were married for a couple of years before you decided to move to Uganda. Mm-hmm. Was it always your intention from the time that you guys got engaged and got married that you knew you were going to eventually repatriate to Uganda?
I knew it was a possibility, but I didn't.
You didn't enter the marriage knowing that would be the inevitable end?
No.
Okay. So what I'm trying to suggest here is that as an American woman, right, as a Jewish African-American woman who has married a husband of a different nationality, right, you have all of the education, you have all of the background, you have all of the substance within yourself to have a very amazing life in the United States. But you've chosen to come here and step so far outside of your comfort zone to basically live in rural Uganda, right? Much as your husband has a nice home, you know, very well established in Mbale, and it's a very comfortable environment that you entered, right? I believe that still qualifies you as an outlier.
Hello.
Right? That makes you an outlier, Shoshana. And I think the conversation that we're having with O'Shea is that, you know, we can associate a lot of these behaviors and the mindset with the majority. Whereas you are such an outlier, it's amazing.
He said it way better than I could say.
And
it.
it's impressive and it's inspiring.
Yes.
So I want to get back to the substance of you and not culture.
Okay. So I wanna, you know, just put something out there as far as my move to Uganda. I was actually I didn't know it at the time, but I was actually undergoing a mindset shift. Before I met a few years before I met my husband, my uncle had passed away, and I was with my mom, and we were putting some things away. And one of the things that we were putting away of his was this DVD called Africa's Great Civilizations.
What?
It's a PBS documentary. Have you guys heard of it?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Gates.
Henry Louis Gates.
Yeah.
He went to Columbia, I believe, or Columbia, one of those Ivy League schools. Yeah.
I know he's a Harvard professor now.
Yeah.
And so he does all these historical documentaries. And I watched this series with my mom, and we got to the end, and I was like, how did I not know any of this? I had considered myself an educated person, having been through, you know, elementary, high school, university, and I didn't know the first thing about any of these great civilizations. I was like, what kind of worldview was I raised with that I didn't even know anything about any of these? That got me started. I started to question my whole education, my whole view of Africa, my whole view of myself as a diasporan. That was what kind of primed the pump, so that by the time I do meet my husband, I'm open to him, and I'm open to where he is, and I'm open to, you know, it's because I had already kind of started on, I don't know if you want to say like a Pan-Africanist worldview, I guess. And so that was like the seeds of it.
Yes.
That was the seeds.
Which further proves the point that he's trying to make, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're just an extraordinary person in terms of, yes, your worldview, and yes, your mindset, and everything that you've experienced up to now, leading you to being able to share your story with us and with the rest of the viewing audience. I think it's something that we can all take a learning lesson from, right? So I have another question for you. You mentioned, before we started shooting here, you mentioned that you have a young son.
Yes.
And you're looking forward to being able to help him strike the balance of understanding his unique heritage of both his Ugandan roots and his American side.
Yes.
What are some of the thought processes that you're having in terms of, first of all, being a young Black man in this world?
Yeah.
Growing up here in Africa is entirely different than going over to the, you know, volatile environment that exists in the United States right now.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you're concerned about as a mother in terms of when your son develops a desire to go and see the United States and understand where your side of the family comes from, as he becomes more aware, as he becomes more independent? What are some of the things that are important to you in terms of preserving his culture, his cultural heritage from his father's side of the family, while also being authentically connected to where you come from?
Yeah. So I want him to be able to speak with both accents. One of the things that annoys the hell out of me is that he can't say water.
He says water.
Water. That's incorrect.
No, just the African way of saying
You want him to be able to enunciate properly.
Yeah. Well, listen. I want him to be able to speak in a way where he can be understood and where he can be understood and he can be respected. You know, because I've seen times where, you know, an African immigrant will come to America and, you know, he won't get treated the same way I'm also even thinking about that with my husband. We do travel back and forth to America sometimes. And I remember one time we went to a place and my husband was giving a speech, and the lady came up to him and was so impressed that he even spoke English.
Was she white?
Yes.
Of course. It makes sense. A black person would never do that for the most part, but a white person will.
And I was just like, okay, well, we're going to have to come up with some strategies of how my son can fit in well to both countries.
Yeah. I want to disagree with you on something. Don't you think there's a problem with that? Like, why is it bad for him to sound Ugandan and say water instead of water?
I'll
I
answer that question.
No. First of all, you didn't even say water correctly.
Let me answer that question right now,
but
Joan.
it doesn't have to be incorrect or it's the accent. Because you can't change who you are and where you grow up from.
Yes,
communication matters. Pronunciation matters. It's like saying, okay, let me give you a perfect example. Okay, when you say crash, I crashed my car, right? Do you spell it with a CRASH or CRUSH?
No, I think it's.
I'm a fan. No, this is the reality of it. Now let's get into it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because Ugandans have established a pattern of speech that gives you permission to misspell and mispronounce words in a way that is acceptable here. But we also have to introduce ourselves to the notion that, Shoshana's son is not just growing up as a Ugandan, he's growing up as a dual citizen. He's an American citizen as well as a Ugandan citizen. And he's a world citizen. At a certain point in his life, he's going to want to go out there and establish his livelihood in this greater world.
Right.
Whether he's a businessman, whether he's an educator, whether he's a scholar, whether he's an athlete or an entrepreneur, you name it. We have to hold ourselves to a world standard. And what you're suggesting, John, is that this Yuglish that everyone speaks.
You call it Yuglish?
No. I hear
this
what you're
Yuglish
saying.
that everyone speaks is not the world standard.
Yeah.
And we need to hold ourselves to a world standard.
Because I hear what you're saying, but what you guys don't
on and off as he needs it.
But what you guys don't see.
I want it to be a tool that he can use when he needs it.
Yeah. But what you guys don't see is that for most Ugandans, English is not the first language.
No, we understand
People learn
that.
like to read 4 languages.
Okay,
and then also the area you're in determines how you pronounce something. So I think it's totally unfair for all of you seated here to expect all Ugandans out there to just to have perfect English.
Oh,
like
no,
you
we're not
guys.
saying all Ugandans.
My son needs to be.
Yeah, we were talking about her son.
Water.
Oh, your son.
Water.
We were talking about her son.
But you should let him.
And please believe, when I'm raising my kids,
anyway,
I'm going to keep that same energy.
Yeah.
But I feel like
Please believe when I'm
it's
raising my kids, I'm gonna
it's
keep
the
that same energy.
colonization that's speaking.
No, I get that,
right
but what
here.
I'm saying is this. For
I
example,
don't think it's you guys speaking. It's the
Wait.
colonization speaking.
But what I'm saying is this, right? Like, I have my daughter's in Poland. African diaspora, like, I don't want to call her name, but her English is, she's been to Belgium, Luxembourg, whatever. She speaks perfect English. But she also went to, what's the school's name? They're in Namongongo?
Vienna.
Vienna College.
Went to an international school.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get it. Like, if you're going to be in Uganda and that's your world and you need to just be a master of the local economy, there's some guys that's in Uganda that can't even speak English and they can make 100 million shillings in a day. We understand that. But I do feel like, if I have a kid and my child might be educated at a HBCU or someplace, yeah, you do need to play by the rules wherever you're at. Even me. I'm now starting to use terms in Uganda that I would never use in America because I'm trying to get things done in Uganda. You understand what I'm saying? It forces me to shift my way of even trying to sound or do things to be successful here.
Here's what I wanted to say in rebuttal to John's point about this being a colonized attitude, right? My appreciation for people who pronounce words correctly isn't isolated to just Ugandans, okay? I mean, how many times have you been to different regions in the United States where, depending on where you go, the accent that people have influences how they speak and it makes them completely impossible to understand? Now, if you were to enter, let's say, for example, when you go to Florida, when you go to Atlanta, when you go to New York, when you go to Baltimore, when you go to Texas, Sacramento, California, Los Angeles, California. These are 7 different communities, each of whom are all American, but they have extremely different and distinct accents and dialects, some of which When you go to the real heart of the area, you don't understand that they're speaking English.
Yep.
And
even DC and Baltimore are different, and they're like real close.
Yes, they're like 45 minutes apart.
It's different.
And I'm doubling down on this point to establish the fact that you want your son, you want your daughter, you want your child to be able to speak intelligible English that can be respected and appreciated in all arenas.
Right.
So it's not about the Ugandan version of English. I wouldn't want my son to speak with the Baltimore hood accent that I heard people speaking with when I was living on Loch Raven Boulevard in Baltimore when I was going to school. And I wouldn't want people to speak with the same, Gullah, Geechee, South Carolina accent that you hear some people in the South speaking with, the same way that people speak in the trap in Atlanta. So what I'm saying, Joan, is that
great point.
As a parent, you have to establish that there's a standard by which you want your child to be able to present themselves.
Right.
And she's just referring to the fact that her son right now, as a little boy, is growing up probably surrounded by people who speak in a certain way. Mm-hmm. And that's influencing his pattern of speech because she's the one person in his life who speaks this way. And the other 99% of the people speak the other way.
Right.
So it's more influential to his pattern of speech when he hears them than her. Now, when he goes to the United States and he's speaking to his cousins and his aunties and uncles and his his grandparents, it's going to be difficult for him not to be made fun of. Mm-hmm. It's going to be difficult for him not to be looked at as less than because they think that he's less intelligent when he's going to high school or college and all of that stuff. Yeah. All of these are stigmas that are real and exist. So I hear you when you're talking about that. Yeah. It can be ignored that that's a factual point.
Let me just say this real quick, and it's a great point. That was the best point on the podcast, by the way. I hate doing podcasts with you because you're so much smarter than me. But anyways, let me say this. We have a guy, I won't call his name. He works with us. If an American were to just listen to how he explains himself, I'm not trying to be mean or anything.
No, so many guys on the team.
But there's one in particular. I'll even call his name Ocean. Ocean is a fucking genius. But if you listen to him, and it just by not what he's talking about, just listen, you'd be like, who is this guy? This guy's not educated. But because you think like as an American, this is a very local way of saying the words are not right. So you automatically would misjudge somebody like that. But the guy has taken the company to another level. I mean, if I could pay him whatever I could, he's probably one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. Mm-hmm. But by default, by just listening to him speak, you would feel like as an American or somebody growing up in Britain, what the fuck is he talking about? This guy doesn't even, if he doesn't know this, there's no way he can carry out a test. But the guy's a monster executor. I mean, the whole Uganda, experience, if he wasn't there, it doesn't happen at all. Mm-hmm. Nothing happens. The guy does everything. Mm. The guy does everything right. But you would think like, this is a local guy, you know?
Yeah, does. I want to give you a word.
Yes.
Say Jebaleko.
Jebaleko.
That's incorrect. But you can understand that's incorrect. Let's move on from that.
True.
But let's move on from that.
Okay, so
there you go.
So
That's fair.
Revenge, right?
No, that's fair.
I'm sorry, I'm being petty.
Buganda for the win. That was the editors doing that.
Yes, okay.
Buganda.
So there's a lot to be said about being understood.
Yeah.
Okay, so one time, my husband's in the kitchen cooking. Because he loves to help out in the kitchen.
Oh, bless him!
And yes, I got that one. Mm. Yes, I did. He turns to my mother, and he says, "Pass me the mingling stick." And she says, "What? We don't have one of those."
The mingling stick.
The mingling stick. You know what it was?
What is it?
He was after
a spoon.
A wooden spoon.
Wooden spoon.
But we call it
a wooden spoon. That was what he was after.
No, but it's correct because it's British English. We were colonized by the British, so many of our wives
mingling
are
stick.
British.
A mingling stick.
Mingling.
Is that what they call it? The British call it that. That might be the case.
Call it. So
it could be the case.
English
We're American, so
the wooden spoon.
No, but the English is different. Ugandan English is British English. It's different from American
it is
English.
not.
Guys, can we Google? Let's Google this.
No,
because I know for
Ugandan
sure.
English and British English are not the same.
No, but what I'm trying to tell you is that the mingling stick. I'm standing up for your husband.
No, definitely. Trust me.
But the mingling stick, guys, it's right. It's right here.
No.
Just because Google, just because you got
No,
Google
that might be that might be a mingling stick,
Guys,
but Ugandan
it's in
English.
the Oxford Dictionary.
But Ugandan
It's
English
real.
is mixed with Luganda,
Yes.
Bambi, and other things.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's Kenyan English.
Yeah.
Yes, and then also
Oh
like
my
just different words used. Like, one time, like we're sitting on the sofa and we're looking for the remote, and then someone turns to me and says, "Extend." Extend. What does that
That's like
mean?
go-
What does
Reach
that
out.
mean?
Push us
What they meant was scoot over.
Yeah.
Oh.
Extend.
Yeah. But that's the local English that we're taught in like that primary school. But guys, it's okay. You know what? One thing, I meet people all that when I first started doing Kenganda over the African diaspora, they used to say they don't understand my English. And I do meet some people who say, "Oh, I don't understand what you're saying because of my accent."
Yeah.
But you know what I do? I feel sorry for you because what do you mean you don't understand me? And it's okay. Like, I wouldn't want to change who I am just to please you so that I can be more digestible for you. We're just arguing about it in the office. Rachel says she's going to name all her kids local names. And there are some people who are saying, you know what? They're going to laugh at them because they have local names. She's like, no, that's my African heritage. If I want my kids to have local names, local African names all through, then they'll have local African names. If someone is having difficulty with pronouncing your name, wouldn't you have an issue with that? You guys have an issue with that. You see how I was
but
struggling with your name?
Even my name is Shoshana. That's
Yeah, and I was struggling with it.
The most Hebrew ethnic.
Yeah, but it's okay. What I'm
From
trying
the-
to say
from
is
the
that
land.
it's okay. It's fine. Let people.
Let me speak to you as a man who spent the first 24 years of my life in the United States surrounded by white people who are butchering my name, Agaba Tumusime, right? Grew up in white suburban America with a name like Agaba. I've told all of you guys about the millions of ways they've mispronounced my name. For me, that was my parents' way of making sure that I was grounded in my roots and my heritage, right? I have so many cousins out there who have Christian names and English sounding names. Actually, my parents are the only people in our entire family who deliberately didn't give their kids English names.
Shout out to
Anybody whose kids were born in the United States or in the UK or anybody like that, right? So for me, that's what it was all about, and I recognized that from a young age. So you asked me earlier, Shoshana, about what my experience was as a Ugandan growing up in America. So I think that's a critical one. I think Rachel is justified in her want to keep her kids very grounded in their heritage, but it cannot be ignored. It cannot be ignored. If that kid happens to be in a place where people who are not of that culture are the majority, they will be ridiculed. They will be teased. They will be bullied. And it won't be nice for them.
Right.
Yeah. But
Period.
you can teach the kids to stand up for themselves and not be ridiculed.
Yes,
Like, if
and
I wouldn't
also,
care if someone
I would like to
butchered
think
my name.
that things have changed since I
Fellow
was a kid,
Ugandans
too.
butcher my name because it's that hard. They also butcher my name.
Joanita?
No, the other local name.
What is it?
Oh.
No, I can't say it. It's a government name.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, but people butcher that other name, you know?
But things have changed since I was a kid, and in general, I would say Americans are a little bit more cosmopolitan and understand. People come from other cultures, but it's still there.
One thing that Americans are
It's still
very
there.
happy and comfortable with is butchering people's names. Yes, you can accept that I'm from a different culture, but Americans make zero effort to learn how to pronounce names from other cultures. That's a fact. That's a fact. An American will mispronounce a foreign name 9 times out of 10, 10 times
Unless
out of 10,
it's
and not
someone-
care to be corrected.
Unless it's someone they
Yes.
have a lot of respect for.
Yes, unless it's your
someone
friend or
they have a lot of respect for.
yeah.
So, like Tchaikovsky,
Yes.
they figured out how to say
Yes.
Tchaikovsky.
But if I'm a regular everyday
is that
citizen
Russian
and you're
or
reading
Polish
my
or-
name
It's
like
a Russian name of a
yeah.
composer of many great ballets. Yes.
Yeah, I also feel like it's mean girl energy to laugh at someone who mispronounces something, or mispronouncing a name or something. It's just like, why would you do that to someone? Then someone feels small and then they're going to feel bad. It's
Yes,
just like, you
yes.
feel
No, but that's
bad.
part of the point, though. The subtext is, I'm better than you, you foreigner.
Oh God! You know, if I was in the States, I'd be fighting people because if you had an issue with my name, with the way I
John,
pronounce it.
you'd be on the front lines marching for George Floyd.
Yeah.
And all of that. With your face
BLM.
like Black Lives Matter,
I would be
goddammit.
like, what?
You'd be out there in these streets. Trust me.
Becoming
Yeah.
a supreme feminist out there. Oh
Yes,
my
you
God.
would.
Preach.
Yes, you
Anyway,
would.
I wanted to ask about your quality of life now that you're in Uganda, because you have a
Yes.
beautiful boy.
I
Sorry,
do.
a handsome boy. Now, see, I've corrected myself.
Yes.
I know someone in the comment section will correct me. Anyway, your quality of life.
I feel like boys can be handsome until they're like at least like 8-10 years old. When you're still a little kid, you're
They're
beautiful. You're cute, baby. You're cute.
Yes.
You stop being cute when you get older. Then you become handsome. As long as
Yeah.
you're cute under 5 years old,
Yeah.
you can be a beautiful boy.
He is very cute. And yes, he is handsome. He's definitely a ladies' man.
Whoa.
At what age?
He's
Whoa.
he's gonna be 4 in a couple months.
Okay.
But at school he already has a little girlfriend.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nice.
They must like his accent.
We can read through the line.
But yeah, you know, my son's doing really well, and that's one thing that I have come to learn, because when I first came to Uganda, I was like, well, why are kids so much better behaved in Uganda compared to America? And what I came to learn was there's this term restraint fatigue. Have you heard of this?
No.
Restraint fatigue. Okay, so kids in America have to sit still in class. They don't get a lot of time to run around outside, and then they have to come home and they're expected to sit still at home. And the parents are wondering, how come my kid isn't doing well sitting still at home? But kids in Uganda don't have to sit still at home. They're able to run around the compound with their cousins and chase the dogs and, you know, enjoy the outdoors.
I mean, they're walking from school.
Exactly. Exactly. And so the time that kids in Uganda have to actually sit still inside is much shorter.
Yeah.
And they don't get restraint fatigue the way American kids do.
Okay.
And this is something that I have come to learn. And it makes perfect sense why Ugandan kids are so much better behaved than American kids in general.
So tell us about your NGO.
Oh, so our nonprofit organization of me and my husband, we got our CBO. It's a community-based organization. We also are registered in America as a 501c3. It's called Tikva Chadasha Uganda. I know it's a Hebrew name, so but it'll be the information will be in the description
box.
and it's really, really meaningful for us. We work with disabled kids and also the impoverished local women.
Yeah.
So for the disabled kids, what we do is we do scholarships, we purchase wheelchairs. We also do community volunteer days where we get our friends and neighbors and relatives out to volunteer for kids with disabilities.
Yeah.
We play cards with the kids, play music with them, give them cookies and lollipops, draw pictures with them. We also go to the different schools that serve kids with disabilities, and we, do the landscaping. We'll clean the school, anything that the school needs, and it's just a really great thing, and we want to do more. And so we definitely need the help of the people watching this today.
Oh.
Isn't there one of your charities? I saw the farm up interview. Do you guys have a poultry farm too?
Yes, we do. Yes,
Okay.
we do, and we're making even more of them. So what we do with the women is we set them up completely to have their own poultry farm, their own chicken farm. What we do is we convert whatever space they have. You know, if they have a shed or whatever room they're not using, we turn that into a chicken farm. So we'll plaster the interior with cement. We'll put solar panels on the roof. We'll do rainwater collection troughs around the perimeter, and we'll make the space into a chicken farm. We purchase all of the supplies, the equipment, the feed, the baby chicks, and also we bring them to our farm. We have a big farm at home, and we train them so that they can run the chicken farm. These are women who otherwise are working in the vegetable fields for less than $2 a day.
Whoa.
Okay, this is the reality. We work with the poorest of the poor women, but we're able to really improve their lives and improve life for their whole family. There was one woman who was able to get all her kids in school.
Yeah.
Before most of her kids were not even attending school, and now they all are in school.
Wow.
We changed life for the whole family when we made this chicken farm.
Beautiful.
And so we want to keep doing it for many more women. But we need people's help to do it.
Right.
Yeah. If people want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
So the best place to find me is on Facebook. Our organization's name on Facebook is Tikva Foundation Uganda. So it's spelled TIKVAH. So I don't have my married name on there. Facebook, I tried to put my married name on there, but then Facebook rejected it. So it's still my maiden name, which is Shoshana McKinney.
Yeah.
So SHOSHANAMCKINNEY.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We'll have the details in the description box. I think that's it from us. You see these faces every day, so Gabs doesn't have followers.
You haven't seen me in a long time. You better put some respect on me, Joe.
Yeah.
Gabs, everyone knows who you are.
But you love me too, goddammit.
But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.